When I was young, I learned pretty early on that when somebody was being mean to me, and I hadn't done anything to deserve it this time, it's not because there's something wrong with me, but the bully themselves is more than likely just projecting their own pain and insecurities onto me in order to feel better about themselves. That's a lesson I learned when I was about 8 years old, and it wasn't something I learned at school, nor taught by my family. This was a lesson I learned from Harold Burman. Harold is a classmate and one of the primary side characters in the 90s show Hey Arnold. He is mostly showcased as the class bully, but he does have a few other redeeming qualities, like his relationship with another loner called Big Patty. Harold is also one of the few Jewish characters in the show, which gives us not so well-known real age. We know they're in the 4th grade, so they should be roughly between 9 and 11 years old, but Harold has his bar mitzvah, which means he's already 13 years old despite still being in the 4th grade. He confirms this in season 3, episode 11, Hey Harold.
Don't mention it.
You're kind of big for a 4th grader.
Well, I was sort of held back a couple of years. It's not that I'm dumb or anything, okay? They said I didn't apply myself.
Although he isn't the most complex character on the show, he is still a bit complicated. You see, Harold has layers. Actually, it's a bit difficult for me to summarize him efficiently, so please allow me to hand it off to my friends at National Geographic.
Africa's most dangerous alpha male, the hippopotamus. He's big.
Just leave me alone.
Males can weigh over 4,000 pounds. He's fast. That bulky body can reach speeds of 30 miles per hour. He's fierce.
I'll beat you up so bad it won't even be funny!
Wait. Before any of you come at me for fat shame your cartoon character, this isn't solely a size thing. Hear me out.
Okay.
It's pretty common practice for actors and writers to have animals in mind when creating a new character. For example, one of my personal favorites is Anthony Hopkins' portrayal of his Hannibal Lecter character.
Morning.
The way he acted, waiting in the dark for his victims, cold, strategic, and calculated. It was created loosely around the personality and mannerisms of a tarantula.
And the image that I wanted there was the line that haunted me on my way to Pittsburgh when I was driving across the country. I kept repeating it to myself in the car as I was driving. I'll help you catch him, Clarice. He's the dark image in the tunnel, and she's alone going into the nightmare. Closer, please. Closer.
Notably, an example opposite of that is Jim Carrey's Ace Ventura, where he draws inspiration from a tropical bird.
It's just a smart bird at the edge of the pond.
Notice everything from his colorful style, his wild hairdo, and his twitchy bird-like movements. You start with the animal, then stir it into something original. Like, what if the lives of endangered species depended on that one seemingly insignificant bird-like character? Now you've got yourself a good climb. With that in mind, let's take another look at Harold. The obvious observation is that Harold is a thick boy. He's intentionally illustrated so hefty that his stomach bursts through his undersized shirts. He has a huge watermelon-shaped head with a mouth so large he could probably bite a crocodile in half. He has one very distinct tooth that sticks out almost as if it resembles a tusk. Additionally, his ears are on the edges of his head. He doesn't seem to have any hair, and if you really want to put on a tinfoil hat, maybe there is some offensive reasoning behind his nickname Pink Boy. But we'll get back to that later on. I think it's pretty clear that there is some correlation between Harold and a hippopotamus. In nature, despite their comical appearance, hippos have a reputation for being aggressive and territorial. Now, let's use our imagination. What if all of this aggression was only a defense mechanism? What if this constant need to dominate and be an alpha amongst his peers was just compensation because everybody around him makes him feel small and insignificant? That's where we start to get to know the real Harold. Outwards, he is perceived as a big bully that just wants to crush everything, but deep down, he's crippled with anxiety and painfully observable self-esteem issues because of his size and intelligence. Although he doesn't do his body any favors by the way he devours Mr. Fudgy Bars, it's stated in a few episodes that he has gland problems.
Just throw the ball, Blimpo.
Hey, don't call me Blimpo. I have a gland problem. So then the doctors had to cut me open and take out my appendix. You want to see my scar?
Hey, that's real neat.
You really think so? Most girls think it's gross.
We can hypothesize that Harold is referring to having hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism, also called underactive thyroid or low thyroid, is a disorder of the endocrine system in which the thyroid gland does not produce enough thyroid hormone. That can cause a number of symptoms such as poor ability to tolerate cold, a feeling of tiredness, constipation, depression, and weight gain. Abnormally low levels can also result in retardation of growth and mental development in children and adults. Harold is overweight, and he knows it. He's a little slow, and he knows that too. But he can't step outside without being reminded of it from his peers. Even when there's a glimpse of hope that someone thinks otherwise, it's shot down in spectacular fashion.
Man.
Oh, Johnny, no, don't say that. He's not a fat man. He's a fat boy.
Immediately deflates even lower than before. It's moments like these that make Hey Arnold so subtly relatable and brave. They're not afraid to portray characters realistically. We can all probably think of a time and place where we felt that low. This episode in particular was from season 4 and cleverly entitled Weighing Harold. It tells us everything we really need to know about him. The ice cream man terrorizes him, his only friends mock him behind his back, and even his own mother tries to sugarcoat his obesity. And let's face it, the last thing Harold needs is more sugar, Marilyn.
Am I fat?
Harold, oh, that is ridiculous. Why would you ever think that you were fat?
Some of the kids were saying
Honey, you're just big boned, that's all.
Well, actually, he could stand to lose a couple of pounds.
Jerry!
We see from his perspective that the reason he hates himself is because his entire support circle, who he relies on, has burnt those feelings into his mind. And you don't even need to ask around. He'll tell you exactly how he feels about himself. Example, Harold's inner monologue in season 2, episode 17, when they go to the theater.
I'm a big ugly clown, oh, a big sad ugly clown, oh.
He may be a big fat bully, but he's also a big fat boy. With a sensitive heart and a freaking grab bag of health disorders and a desire to just feel normal. And seeing Harold struggle with both sides of his personality and battle his insecurities really opened my eyes as a kid, and for that I am thankful. I learned the importance of giving everybody a chance at trying to see their inner mechanisms before jumping to judgment, because you never know what they're going through or what's outside of their control. This is a lesson I think everybody should be reminded of still, which is why Harold will always be one of my favorite characters. But how about you? Was this a lot heavier than you remembered? Are there other 90s cartoon characters that stand out to you? And who should I cover next? Let me know in the comments below. And lastly, I do Twitch stream full time, so please stop by my Twitch and hang out anytime you're bored. Always on, late night streams. All of my links will be in the descriptions below. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully sooner than 5 months from now. I'll see you next time.
I can't believe it. Harold, you look fantastic.
It's like you're wasting away.
It's a complete transformation.
I never thought you could be so
I've never
thin and
saw
all
anyone
wild
look so good. How much weight have you lost?